Hello, welcome! My name is Anna from Peru's Vintage blog, and in this video I'm going to be sharing with you how I restored these old vintage garden gnomes. They lived in my mom's garden for many years, and today they're going to be getting a little touch-up. So I'm going to show you the supplies I'm going to be using, and then the process. So for the supplies, of course, first you're going to need a gnome friend that needs a little love. You're also going to need some sandpaper to file down the exterior a little, a variety of different shapes and sizes of paintbrushes, acrylic paints, and a permanent marker for details, a palette or a paper plate for your paints, water and paper towels for cleaning your brushes, and most importantly, a clear glossy spray that is formulated for outdoor use. Now I'm going to be sharing the steps that I took. To begin, I gave the gnomes a little bath in the sink with just some soap and a rag. I tried to really scrub off any dirt and debris that I could. After they dried, I took some sandpaper and sanded down the exterior. I was not trying to remove the paint, but I just wanted to give them some texture for the new paint to grip onto. Since they're going to be outside in the elements, you really want it to stick. Now it is time to paint. I'm using acrylic paint because it grips on really nicely to surfaces such as metal or ceramic, whatever your gnome may be made out of. Acrylic paint is plastic based, so it will wash off your hands, but not your clothes or fabric, so just be careful that your area is covered with a newspaper or a tarp and you're wearing something that you really don't care about damaging. I already had these paints at home, but if you do not, acrylic paint is really inexpensive and you can purchase it pretty much anywhere. Craft stores, Walmart, Target, the dollar store, and more. Now, acrylic paint is not going to last very long outside, unfortunately. It will wash over time. That's why I'm going to be sealing it off with a clear glossy varnish spray at the end to protect the paint. I'll go into more detail on that later. As I am painting, I'm going section by section on the gnome. See, first the hat, then the beard, etc. You're going to want to make sure that the sections next to each other are dry before painting, or else the wet paints will run together and you won't get those crisp lines. I actually really like the color schemes of these guys, and they match my mom's garden aesthetic well, so I'm just going to stick to the same general colors. However, feel free to go crazy and really customize them. Also, do not be afraid to mix paints to create your own custom colors. The only advice I have for you is if you need to go in with a second coat later on, try to keep the mixed color in a sealed container so that you can use it again. Otherwise, it can be quite hard to get the color the exact same. Trust me, I have been there and it is pretty frustrating. Now it's the next day. I let them dry overnight because I wanted to dry brush their beards. As you can see, I painted the beards a light gray for the base, but to create some texture in the wrinkles of the hair, I'm going to be using a dry brush technique with a dark gray, which is when you take a dry brush and apply a tiny bit of paint to it, wipe it off with a few strokes on a paper towel before applying, and then lightly paint over the surface. This is going to make a nice light and weathered look to create texture on the beard by letting the base color show through. Also, instead of waiting overnight for the paint to dry, you can use a hairdryer to dry it faster between sections and layers. This project took me a total of 3 days to do because of the waiting between coats. However, if I did the hairdryer method, I could have totally finished it within 1 day. So I'm just going to keep working on this section by section, and then I'll check in with you a little bit later. So now I'm in the home stretch. Once again, I waited overnight to let the paint fully dry. Today, I just have the details left to do and then a couple of second coats. Details are what really is going to make them pop, such as the little details on their belts, a little rosy nose, their eyebrows, details on their mushrooms, etc. But do not be scared. Since the gnomes are generally on display in a garden, people are not going to be getting up close and analyzing them. So even if you're not totally precise or accurate from a distance, they're still going to look awesome, and it's so cool to be able to tell people, hey, I painted that. This is also when small brushes come in handy. It is so great to have a variety of sizes and shapes to really get into those little crevices and get those details nice. Yay, they're finally done being painted. For the last step, I brought them outside to do the clear gloss varnish spray. This is quite toxic, so please do this step outside. I put down an old sheet so I wouldn't get any of the spray on the terrain, and then I just made sure that I went around the gnomes and totally saturated them. This is the most important step because without it, all your hard work will go down the drain, literally. The rain and the elements will remove the paint. This is going to ensure that it lasts a while. It's also pretty inexpensive. I purchased it for about $4 at a home improvement store. So just make sure that you buy one that's formulated for outdoor use if your gnomes are going to be living outside like mine are. So this is the finished project. I think they came out really cute. They're definitely not perfect or precise, but I think they have a lot of charm and the colors really pop in the garden, especially compared to the befores. I had a lot of fun painting them and I highly recommend it as an activity if you have a gnome that could use some love. If you enjoyed this video and you love vintage things like I do, please feel free to subscribe and to check out my blog. I love doing crafts like this, so if you'd like more vintage craft ideas, or you restored gnomes too, let me know. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day, just like I know these guys are gonna have with their fresh new look.